When Ram first introduced the all-new 5th generation pickup truck to America back in 2019, it became synonymous with three things. It had the best ride quality in the industry, it had the most luxurious interior, and it had the legendary 5.7-liter Hemi V8. Now, sadly for Ram, the company discontinued that iconic V8 last year when they introduced the fully revised version of the Ram, but due to criticism from dealers and consumers, for 2026, the Hemi is back, and as you can see, it is back across multiple trim levels of the 2026 Ram 1500. So today we're actually out here in Detroit, Michigan at their proving grounds because we're finally able to get behind the wheel of the 2026 Ram with the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. And the big question I want to answer is the eTorque 5.7 Hemi a better option versus the new 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6? Stay tuned to find out. So it's really crazy to think just how much hatred Ram got from consumers and dealers when they discontinued the iconic Hemi V8. So for 2026, it's back. And of course, this particular model that we're showing you here is the fully loaded limited trim. Ram is going to offer the Hemi V8 basically on all the trims except for the RHO and the very high trim tungsten trim. The limited is kind of one notch below it, but underneath here, you're actually going to find the same carryover engine that we saw back in 2024. So this is kind of where I'm a little disappointed that Ram didn't actually want to give the 5.7-liter power boost for this model year. But regardless, the Hemi still makes 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. It's augmented by a 48-volt mild hybrid system. That's where the eTorque essentially comes in. That mild hybrid draws its power from a 0.43 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. So it's a very teeny tiny battery pack. It's basically designed to replace the starter and alternator to smooth out the start-stops. The eTorque system adds around 130 foot-pounds of torque at very low speeds, but you can't technically combine the output of the V8 with the electric motor, that very small electric motor. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this particular model that we're showing you has their full-time 4-wheel drive system. Again, Ram will offer this engine as basically a $2,800 or $1,200 option on most of the trims. On the high trim like this, it's a free option, so the high output inline-6 is standard, or you can also go with the V8. I also want to remind you that the inline-6 has way more power, 420 or 540 horsepower. So this is an interesting proposition that Ram is offering by charging more for less power. Now, in terms of the fuel efficiency, the eTorque system does improve that, but this model that we're showing you here is rated at 17 in the city, 23 on the highway. It has a 26-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 490-ish miles of range on a full tank. Now, I actually haven't had a chance to 0 to 60 test the eTorque V8 in a long time, so I want to remind you guys we got 4.1 seconds in the high output straight 6. Top speed should be around 110 miles an hour. And this truck, as it sits, will tow a maximum of just under 10,000 pounds while hauling just under 1,400 pounds of payload in the bed. Curb weight for this truck is right around 5,700 pounds. So this weighs about the same as the high output straight 6 Hurricane engine. Well, let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, this truck got a pretty significant refresh in 2025, so basically last year. And you know, the styling here basically carries over for the Hemi version. As you can see, the Limited has its own unique grille, lots of chrome in the front fascia with the big Ram grille, as you can see, kind of in like a chrome and like a satin silver finish to them. The headlights also look really upscale. Love the fact that they are sequential for the turn signals. You have LED daytime running lights, LED projectors for the low and the high beams, which is a nice touch. All Rams come with LED headlights, but only the top trims will have the projector styles, and you also have LED fog lights down here. My test car also has an optional extra that paints the bumpers. Mostly the Limiteds come with a chrome bumper, but it looks much better with the full paint finish. You have integrated tow hooks, parking sensors, and then my test car, even though right here should be the 360 camera, it's actually missing that option. That's part of a Limited Level A upgrade package for an extra $5,000. But in this granite crystal exterior color, I think the refresh is definitely a handsome, upgrade. I still think that there are better looking trucks in the industry. My personal favorite is the GMC Sierra, but this is definitely a much improved look. Keep in mind, you can go for like a black appearance package, which will black out all the chrome that you'll see on the front and on the side mirrors, but I think the chrome actually does work with the Ram 1500. Now, moving around the side profile, this particular one that I'm showing you here is basically a crew cab with the 5'7" long bed. Ram also offers a longer 6'4" bed for like an extra $1,200. This is basically the standard configuration. It has a 145-inch long wheelbase with a 233-inch long overall length. So this is around an inch or two longer versus some of its rivals, but this is still pretty much a right-sized truck for this segment when you're looking for a crew cab short bed design. You can see my particular test vehicle has an extra or an optional 22-inch wheel This is around $2,000 extra, but it's also pairing it with the off-road package, which I'm actually surprised that you can get an off-road tire here with a 22-inch wheel. You can see these are a Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tire, and it's riding on a 285 by 45 R22. I mean, personally, if I was off-roading a vehicle, I wouldn't want to have a 45 series sidewall. It's not really enough sidewall protection, but it looks good with the all-terrain tires, all disc brakes, of course. These wheels are really nice. I like the two-tone look. You can also get them in an all-black finish. And then our test truck here, also an air suspension, which can raise and lower the ground clearance from, I think, a low of just under 8 inches all the way up to over 10 inches. Now, you're only going to be able to tell that this is the Hemi model when you look at the badging here. So it says 1500 eTorque to show everyone that this is a mild hybrid. Technically, this is one of the ways to get a mild hybrid in the Ram. The Hurricane engines don't even offer that. And then, of course, there's this new badge here that basically shows the Ram head, of course, with the 4 cylinders, or the 8s, or basically you can see the 4 cylinders here because it's a V8 on one side. But actually, that's a new badge for 2026. I like the way it looks. It adds a little character. Ram's always really good, or Stellantis is always really good about adding these little Easter eggs. These tow mirrors, as you can see, are massive. They're lined in chrome. They also extend out. They're power folding. Of course, my test truck is missing the 360 camera. There's some badging here with the Ram and then the limited badge and additional chrome. More chrome along the side. Window trim, of course, and then the panoramic sunroof is included on this trim. It's standard. There's a reason why Ram charges you like an extra 10 grand over a Laramie when you guys go for the limited trim. Also, in case you guys are short, if you open up the doors, this trim also comes with the power opening and closing, or the retracting and whatever running boards, which helps short people like myself get in. Whenever you shut the door, they will automatically retract away. It takes a little bit of a second, but I mean, that's a really great feature. A lot of competitive trucks also have that as well. Now, as you can see, coming over to the bed with the off-road package, you have the little graphic sticker there to let everyone know you have the off-road model. And then looking at the back, things are pretty much the same. The taillights, as you can see, they're a full LED. These are the upgraded premium LED taillights. Where it also has an LED turn signal as well. It's a really interesting, or really clean design. Typical badging back here with the big 4x4 badge, the big Ram head badge here, and a chrome limited badge. And then you can see the rear bumper is also painted, which I like. There's also a nice little step here, which actually, yeah, there we go. You pull that out. And actually, I like the location of the step too. It helps shorter drivers like myself get into the actual bed. Kind of just kick it away. And then in terms of the exhaust, the Ram, when this generation first came out, was known, of course, for their dual chrome exhaust tips. That stays, but of course, this has the 5.7 V8. So let me go ahead and remind you guys why you were complaining so much by missing this engine. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how it sounds. I do always love the sound of a straight 6. You just can't fight the fact that there's no replacement for displacement. That V8 is definitely one of the best V8 sounds you're going to find in the pickup truck segment. Now, looking at the bed, you can see our test truck here has the optional for $1,095, the multi-pro tailgate system, or it's multi-flex. I think that's probably what GM tends to call it. So basically, you can open the tailgate in the usual way, which is how most people are going to do it. This model here that we're showing you has the spray-in bed liner. This is, again, got a payload capacity of just under 1,400 pounds. There's some rail tie-down hooks, of course. There's some power outlets and some LED lighting. That's part of the bed utility group for an extra $600. But the other great thing is you can also open this bed by pushing that down on that, and it actually will open up to the side here. I personally love this feature because one of the problems that I have with pickup trucks is when you have the tailgate down, it's really hard to get in here, but now that you can open it to the side here, it allows you to have quick access to get stuff from inside the bed where you don't have to kind of go over the tailgate, or you can also use that step to help you get into the tailgate, or into the bed as well. Ram also offers a retractable folding tonneau cover as well for an extra $700. But overall, I actually like the way Ram has implemented their split tailgate function versus what GM uses, but it certainly does create a weird little cut line here when you guys go for this option. Now moving on to the interior of the 2026 Ram in the Limited trim. I hope you guys like a black interior because the Limited sadly only comes with the upgraded premium leather interior in black. If you guys are looking for like a brown interior, there's a Limited Longhorn that basically adds like a country western theme that includes the bison brown interior. The Laramie also offers the bison brown with a sea salt crystal gray two-tone look. So I kind of was hoping Ram would offer a different color option on the Limited, although you can get it with a kind of like a red and black two-tone combination, but it really depends, of course, on the exterior color. The seats, as you can see, you've got premium leather with this contrast stitching and piping. The seats are also heated, ventilated, and massaging. That's going to be standard on the Limited trim. There's a reason why it costs 10 grand more versus the Laramie trim. And the seats also are covered in a really comfortable leather. The padding feels nice. It's a really high quality interior, and it reminds you that the Ram is more of a luxury-oriented truck. Now, getting inside with that retractable running board that pops out, it helps short people like myself get in. And then as I shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on their latest body-on-frame architecture, something that it shares with the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. Now, looking at the key fob, you can see Ram still has the same intelligent access key. It actually reminds you which trim level you have if you go for the Limited by saying Ram Limited. The key itself is a pretty chunky key, but it feels pretty high quality. It looks really nice. You have the usual buttons here for unlock, lock. You can also remotely open the tailgate, lower the air suspension, activate the remote start, and then use a panic function. Starting the truck up, you can see start stop button is right here on the dash by the shifter. And then when the truck starts up, that Hemi V8, it just has such a trademark characteristic noise that I can see why enthusiasts and loyalists were upset when it was gone. And then of course, when you start it up, it sounds, I mean, that's the factory stock exhaust, and it sounds good right from the get-go. Now, looking at the rest of this cabin, the Limited trim is the one that you want, again, if you want all the luxury touches. Because you can see here on the door panels, it's covered in real leather with contrast stitching, more wood or real wood trim with more quilted leather over here on this door panel, nice padded armrest over here. The door handle also has a high quality metallic look to it. You have 2-person memory seats with a massage function. So there's a button here that I can push that activates the massage. This is one of the few trucks that offers that, of course. And then the window controls are one touch up, down for the front windows. The rears are not one touch up or down. I'm actually surprised that there's a little bit of cost cutting there. I think it should include that. The mirrors, you can see they have a power fold feature, and you can also extend and retract them because they are the toe style mirrors. Lots of additional storage down here, although in the lower portion, it is a hard touch injection molded plastic. And then this truck here is also available with up to a 19 speaker Harman Kardon stereo system. If you're an audiophile, you're gonna really like to have that option. I believe it's standard on the Limited trim. Now, looking at the steering wheel, I'm surprised to see that it has a manual tilt telescoping, but I think the tungsten trim is what gives you the power tilt telescoping. That's an extra 12 grand compared to the Limited truck. The steering wheel itself is also pretty nice. You have some wood trim, contrast stitching. This is a heated steering wheel, of course, no paddles behind the wheel, but you do have a little gear selector here if you want to control the 8-speed auto on your own. Your drive mode selector is here. The Ram offers several, from a snow, an automatic, a tow, a sport, an off-road. The auto mode's probably what most people are going to leave it in general. And then you also have your controls here for your cruise control. My test truck is missing the hands-free driving feature, which is part of an extra charge, which would add another camera here that would watch your face to make sure you're paying attention. This truck is also missing a heads-up display, but as you can see, there's also beautiful real leather with contrast stitching and quilting on the actual dash, more wood trim, some metallic trim. This is still a very nice looking interior that makes you feel like you're driving around in a luxury vehicle. I mean, you could basically slap like a Wagoneer badge on this, and it would probably fool people into thinking you were in a luxury truck. Now, I also want to point out the infotainment system on my test truck is actually the smaller 12.3-inch display. For 2025, last year, Ram actually offers a bigger 14.5-inch display, but I have to say the smaller 12.3 is fine. I mean, you can see my phone is connected via wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. I will say that the software behind it is a little slow. There are times where it was a little laggy and it just takes a second for it to populate, but it looks pretty nice. You can see there's the home display. It has built-in GPS by Garmin, I believe. And you can see it's got your dual zone climate. Your heated and cooled seats are located in the screen, but the cooled seat does work pretty nicely, especially on those hotter days. I wish it was actually a hard button, but thankfully there is a mixture of hard buttons here for the climate. And you have 2 big volume knobs. Your gear selector is here, of course. You've got your 4-wheel drive switch here. There's a 4-wheel drive auto, 2-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low, of course, your start, stop, defeat. There's also a rear diff lock. For when you're stuck in some off-road situations. That's what the off-road package gives you. Trailer brake controller, of course, is included, and this is your air suspension if you want to raise and lower the truck up and down. That's standard, of course, on this trim. When I put the truck into reverse, you can see we're missing the backup camera, so instead we just have a backup camera, or we're missing the 360 camera, so instead we just have one camera view, but it does include trajectory, cross-traffic braking, front and rear parking sensors. It should be standard. I shouldn't have to spend an extra $5,500 to get the 360 camera. I think that's a little insulting considering the price of this truck. Over here you can see there's a passenger display, although I find Stellantis's passenger display to be kind of useless compared to some of its rivals. It's a 10.25-inch display. It's really dim because there's a privacy filter on my side, but from here it's not really that bright in general as well. But you can hook it up to an HDMI cable, which is right here, and you can stream movies or maybe even play video games. But I would personally get car sick looking at that lower part of the screen for longer periods. There's dual wireless phone charging pads here, which is standard. You've got 4, or actually 6 USB charging ports, a combination of an A and a C. I like how the center console also slides forward and back. You have cup holders along with more wood trim here, more storage over here, where you can actually use that as like a coin holder, which is a nice touch. You can also close that up if you want to clean up the look there and have more of the wood exposed. Nice padded leather area over here with more of the quilting. And you can see, open that up. This is actually a pretty big center console storage area. You can see it's a really deep center console storage area, and it also has 2-tier storage, so you can put some more stuff at the top here. So trucks have always had lots of additional storage, especially if you want to hide some things. There's also more storage off to the side here, which is a nice touch. And then in terms of the glove box, you can see it's a bin style, it's stamped but not lined with felt. If you don't have the passenger screen, this is actually going to function as a secondary glove box. So keep that in mind. I also mentioned the massaging seats. When I turn them on and off, you can see there's 5 different types of massage, 3 different intensities. I know the Toyota Tundra just added a massaging seat, as well as the Ford F-150 offers it. I'm not entirely sure the GM trucks offer it. I think at the very top trim, they do offer it, but Ram was one of the first manufacturers in the segment to offer the massaging seats. So again, that reminds you of their luxury intentions. Above me, you can see that big panoramic roof is standard on this trim, optional on all of other trims. It has a retractable shade, and you can also tilt this up or open it up completely to vent air, only over the 2 front seats, of course, but it's really nice how it at least gives you that feature. Panoramic sunroof isn't even available on the GM Twin, so that's something where GM needs to add. But overall, the front seat area is still one of the most luxurious, has a ton of space, good visibility, excellent build quality. And then in terms of the tech, Uconnect 5 really just needs a software update because I find it to be small, but I also don't think you necessarily need the bigger 14.5-inch display, but it is bundled with the 360 camera. I think it should be included. The instrument cluster is also fully digital, where you can kind of customize the way this looks as well by just kind of using this little arrow. You can adjust the way this looks. I personally think the digital display, I like the way it looks with the traditional twin dials, but some manufacturers do a slightly better job of their digital displays, but you can put the GPS function in the actual display. So I think Ram has done a better job here with kind of updating this over the years, but overall it's still a really nice cabin with lots of impressive tech and luxury touches. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat, because the Ram does have one of the biggest back seats that you're gonna find in the segment. Now, first of all, the legroom space. If you guys go for the crew cab configuration, you get up to 45 inches of legroom. 45 inches is among the best in the industry. It has roughly 3 to 4 more inches than most of its rivals. Completely flat floor here. And if you lift up this little cargo mat, Rob will have to do it to show you guys. There's actually a little underfloor storage area that he's trying to open up. It's actually really deep, so this is really nice hidden storage if you want to put items back there to hide from peeping eyes, of course. The seats themselves have the same beautiful leather. They're also heated and ventilated, which is a nice touch. And the truck is so wide, you can easily fit 3 people across. You can also fold down that there, or I believe you can also lift this up. You can see when you lift it up, there's actually additional storage. That's actually like a low jack thing that they have, just to make sure that we get back in time, or if we're not lost, they can find us. So ignore that, that's not supposed to be there, but it provides additional storage there, which is a nice touch. Now getting back here, you can see the space, once I get back here and close the door, is just huge. I mean, this is basically my driving position. I'm 5'7". There's a ton of leg room for me to stretch out. That flat floor is really nice. You can see heated and cooled seats back here, which is included on this trim. Basically, the really upper luxury trims have that. You have rear seat air vents. You also have 4 USB-Cs, or USB-A and Cs, and you have a 12-volt power outlet, additional cup holders here with some more wood trim. And then the Ram also has this really nifty feature that no other competitor has. You pull this little lever here, and it actually reclines the seat. This is really nice. I mean, they're utilizing the additional legroom space versus some of its rivals, so you can kind of get back here and get more comfortable. There's also, of course, the armrest here that folds down. It's a huge armrest with additional storage as well. Your cup holders here. You can slide this window open via a switch up there. There's no retractable shades, although I think the tungsten trim has that. It's not on this trim here, but you can see still has the same beautiful real leather, wood, contrast stitching and piping, really nice materials throughout. So again, if you're looking for one of the roomiest back seats, one of the most luxurious cabins, and a ton of features back here, the Ram, especially in the top limited and up trims, is going to be the one you're going to be looking at. So it's kind of crazy to think that Ram got so much hate when they discontinued the legendary 5.7 liter Hemi V8 with the refresh last year. And of course, since they got all that hate, the company decided to bring the engine back for 2026. The last 0 to 60 test that I did in this new truck was with the 2 straight 6 engines. And let's go ahead and see what we can get with the V8. We're in sport mode right now. We'll just go ahead and floor it. All right, that's with it pretty much on level ground. And I want to remind you guys the 0 to 60 time that I got in the straight 6. I got 4.7 in the standard output. I got 4.1 in the high output. I just got 6.9 in the 5.7 liter V8, which is about 2 seconds slower. I'm actually really surprised that it's so much slower. I'm going to try one more run here. There's still nobody behind us. Sorry, Rob. And we'll brake torque it and see if that makes a difference. Ooh. Sounds good though. That is the reason why people are upset with the Hemi being gone, because that is a wonderful sound. 6.66 seconds there. So that's a little bit better. So in reality, if you guys go with the Hemi V8, you're gonna have to deal with a 0 to 60 time that's around 2 seconds slower than even the straight 6 or the standard output straight 6, which really shows you just how much more powerful that new 3 liter Hurricane inline 6 is. Granted, it doesn't sound as good as this, but it's very smooth. But this engine also is wonderful. I mean, it's hooked up to an 8-speed automatic transmission by ZF as well. And anytime you just put your foot down, just listen to that sound. That sounds like American muscle right there. I love that sound. I think the Ram definitely has the best sounding V8 in the segment. And even though this 5.7 liter isn't the most powerful, I mean, this is kind of an opportunity for Ram where they could have brought the Hemi back with a vengeance. I would have loved to see this engine be like, you know, producing over 400 horsepower, 450 horsepower. That would have been nice. So I am a little disappointed it's not making more power, but I have to say I am very much liking the sound. I mean, there's nobody behind us again. May as well just try another 0 to 60. Sorry, Rob.
Don't get another devil number, okay?
Oof. All right, we got 6.76 there, so pretty consistent. Basically, we'll just take the 6.6 as our quickest time. So just keep that in mind. This is not going to be as quick as the inline 6. It really is shocking just how fast that 3 liter Hurricane engine is. But the rest of the driving dynamics of this Ram 2500 or 1500 have basically not changed. This is a live axle, obviously. We are driving the limited trim, which has the 4-corner air suspension, which does help to give this truck the best ride quality in the business. We're also driving a model with the off-road package with the 22-inch wheels. So the wheels are going to affect the ride quality slightly. I do like how this one looks though with the all-terrain tires. It's definitely a nice look. The granite crystal exterior is a classic color, but Ram has a new green exterior color, 2 greens, that I would personally love to see in person versus this gray. But overall, the truck is still pretty easy to drive. The visibility out of the front and the side is pretty nice. The rear, my test car is missing the digital camera rear mirror, and it's also missing the 360 camera. It's missing a limited level A upgrade package, which is like $5,500. It's kind of crazy how expensive it is, but it's still a pretty nice truck to drive, aside from the comfortable ride, the quiet cabin with that lovely V8 that will make its presence known every time you put your foot down. This 8-speed also is really good transmission. It's just very quick, snappy. I mean, ZF 8-speed is one of the best transmissions in the business, and I actually think I might prefer this transmission to the 10-speed that you'll find in the F-150 and in the GM twins, of course. The one thing that I like about the Ford truck, however, is how Ford does that little cut line on the driver's or on the front doors, where it gives you a little bit better visibility. These big tow mirrors kind of get in the way when you're trying to, I guess, look around to see if there's anybody, off to your left or to your right. So that's something that I think some of the other brands have done a better job with designing with their tow mirrors. But overall, the rest of the truck hasn't really changed. It's still very comfortable, still very refined. I love that sound. I mean, that sound alone is probably going to, draw customers back into the Ram showrooms. Ram clearly saw that they had flack from the lack of the V8. Sales tanked last year, so this should definitely rectify that. And what's interesting to me about the Hemi is, even though this is, it's got 2 more cylinders to feed, fuel economy is actually rated the same as the standard output engine, and 17 in the city, 23 on the highway, about 19 combined. It's actually better fuel economy by 2 mpg versus the high output engine. Now, I'm gonna have to wait until I get one back home to do an actual real world range test. This vehicle on a full tank is showing just under 500 miles of range, because we have the smaller 26 gallon fuel tank. Ram also has a bigger 33 gallon tank, which should push the range to over 600 miles for those of you who really want to get, stretch your legs a little bit more, and for those longer highway drives. But Ram also ends up charging you a little bit more for this engine, which is interesting to me, because if you're comparing it to the standard output engine, Ram charges you an extra $1,200 for the V8 for less power with the same gas mileage. That logic doesn't really make sense to me, but I guess for those of you who are enthusiasts, you're going to end up spending the money, because there's really no replacement for displacement. Of course, that is the saying that everyone likes to say, but at the same time, I do love how fast the Hurricane engine is. But I suspect that the Hurricane engine will be woken up with an aftermarket exhaust. There's going to be aftermarket exhaust for it at some point. But until then, there really is no replacement for the sound of this engine. And every time you put your foot down, you're going to be reminded why you love the Hemi. And when somebody pulls up next to you at the light and they say, hey, that thing got a Hemi, you can finally say again, yes, it does. And that's the whole reason why the Hemi engine is back. And it certainly is going to please a lot of the Ram and Stellantis faithful. Now, with just under 375,000 units sold in the US last year, the Ram 1500 has always been a very important model for the Stellantis group. Now, I should point out that that sales figure also includes sales from the HD version of the Ram, the heavy-duty version. And if you guys also remember, the Ram used to actually sell in bigger numbers. The company would consistently sell between 500,000 to 700,000 units. So clearly, they did something wrong when they got rid of the Hemi, which is why the new CEO, Tim Kuniskis, decided to bring the Hemi back. And I think that was a really great addition, because this truck has always been either the second or the third best-selling vehicle. Now it's become a distant third, but I think after spending the day driving the Hemi version, even though Ram really didn't add any more power to this powertrain, I think it's going to be a nice option, because you can still get this vehicle, of course, with a plethora of engines. That straight 6 Hurricane is still one of my favorites in terms of speed, but this engine has the best soundtrack in the game. And I have to say, for a factory exhaust system, I think that's the reason why so many people are upset, because the inline 6 was just too quiet. This finally has that brawny, American muscle feel. And while the performance of this truck 0 to 60 in around 6.7 seconds is around 2 seconds slower versus the last standard output straight 6 Hurricane engine that I tested, I think for most people 6.5-ish seconds is going to be fast enough, because you can't really beat the soundtrack that you get with the engine. This truck also still has one of the best ride qualities in the game, especially when you get option in for that 4-corner air suspension. And the interior also has the most luxurious feel. Even though my test truck here has the smaller 12.3-inch display, I think it's still large enough for most people, and it also saves you a ton of money when you don't add that limited level A upgrade package for an additional $5,500, although it does give you some features that I think this truck should have, considering the price points. Now, in terms of availability, Ram actually started opening up the order books for the V8 around 2 months ago, and they're just rolling into dealerships as we speak. And the pricing for the 2026 model year has gone up by around $800. These trucks now start at around 41 grand for a base tradesman with the quad cab longer bed. And of course with 2-wheel drive. 4-wheel drive is going to cost you around $3,200 extra. If you guys want the crew cab configuration with the 5'7" long inch bed, it's going to cost you around $3,000 extra. Another $1,200 extra if you want the longer 6'4" inch bed with the crew cab configuration. Of course, this particular one that I'm showing you is the fully loaded, or not the fully loaded, almost fully loaded limited trim. This truck in general starts at around 75 grand. The V8 is a no-charge option, but for other lower trims, the V8 can vary from either $3,000 to around $1,200, depending, of course, on the trim level that you're looking at. This particular model here, with some of the light options that it has, like the 22-inch wheels, the off-road package, of course, the granite crystal exterior color, all in, This model here that we're showing you is around $82,000. So, you know, 82 grand is a lot of money. However, keep in mind, it could be around $5,500 extra if our test truck had the limited level A upgrade package, which makes the Ram one of the more expensive offerings in the segment, which to me, I don't like the fact that you're still paying the same, if not more, for the V8 that didn't get any performance upgrades this year. But again, if you guys are really a fan of a naturally aspirated V8, the 48 volt mild hybrid system that they call eTorque also greatly improves that. And of course, the multi-function tailgate that our test truck has here also gives it one of the more usable beds in the industry. I think you should definitely put the new latest Ram 1500 with the Hemi back at the top of your list. Well, with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2026 Ram 1500 Limited. If you're also looking to see the latest vehicles I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.